Hey yogis, welcome back and thanks for joining me. My name is Melissa. This video today we're going to focus on breaking down poses into further expressions. There's a couple that I have that I know that we pretty much call for in every class. So if you're newer to yoga or you're trying to improve your practice, we're going to break things down today so that you can see how to slowly get into them and then work on them yourself. And I have some props that I'll use for some of them as well. But before we get started, if you're not warmed up, take a few minutes to warm up the body. I'm warmed up. I did my warm up before we started recording. So I just did a couple of sun salutations. I did a couple shoulder openers, some forward folds. So just take about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes to get a nice stretch going, get the body warmed up. You never want to go into anything cold. So just take a moment to warm the body up. You can pause this and then come back. If you're ready to join me, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first pose that I want to break down today is Birds of Paradise, or even just taking a half bind or full bind. So when we come into Birds of Paradise, so you can meet me in your Warrior Two stance. So bringing your feet out as wide as you can. Reach your arms long. Taking your gaze out past that middle finger. And then we always say, flip the front palm, reverse. And then we usually come into it from extended side angle. So a couple different variations here. So we may say, if you have further expressions, come into those now, half binds, full binds, or Birds of Paradise. So what we mean, half bind would be take the hand, the top hand, to your low back. This is a half bind. A lot of the times when we do half binds, a couple things happen. We're not aligning our shoulders. So if you come into a half bind, you want to make sure you still have the shoulders stacked and the heart starting to open up towards the ceiling. I like to take it here with my elbow to my thigh. I feel like I get a better alignment, because if I release my hand down, I feel like I'm starting to dump into it, and that's not what you want to do. You can take a block to the inside of your foot, medium or high setting. Plant the hand down. Reach the arm to the low back and then open up here. So you can take your half bind like this as well. Again, shoulders stacked, gaze to the ceiling, spiral the heart up. Full bind here, so this gets a little tricky, is taking your bottom arm underneath the thigh and getting the hands to connect to the low back. So bring that arm under and still lifting up towards the ceiling. And there's your full bind. What I see a lot of the times with full binds, I see again that dumping into it. I see people taking full binds like up higher and then leaning forward into it. That's not what you want to do. You want to be lifting the chest, pressing back, and then as you get the bind, lift. You can use a strap to help you if that full bind isn't quite there. If you don't have a strap, if you're practicing at home, you can use a towel, anything that's going to help you connect the hands together. I see a lot of the times in class, if people don't have a towel or a strap, they will use a towel, or they'll just grab like the back of their shirt with both hands to get a connection that way. So does not matter, it's still a bind, however you get into it. So you take the strap, scoop it underneath the thigh, and then bring the hands to connect. I'll show you what this looks like from the back too. And then you lift open. So there's your full bind. From the back view on that, so we're here. So without the strap, the full bind looks like this. Hands connect, lift and open. With the strap, the bind looks like this. So you want to get the hands to connect through the strap and bring your hands in as close as you can. This is a full bind with the strap. Still got the connection there. Still got the alignment with the shoulders stacked, the heart opening to the ceiling. It's all about alignment. I know some people get confused when we say bring the hand under the thigh. Sometimes they come from the back angle, and you want to come from the front to grab the bind. When we come up into Birds of Paradise, so taking the full bind, step your back foot up to meet your front, Slowly lift. This might be your birds right here. It's all about stability. So you might lift up and keep a bend in your knee because the hamstring flexibility isn't there yet. And that's a-okay. You can stay there as long as you need. If you're coming into it with the leg straight, so grab for the bind, step the foot up, lift, and straight. A lot of people, again, they grab too low. So this is not a full bind. I don't know if you can see this. This is not a full bind. This is easy. Anybody can do this and lift. You're grabbing towards the front of your thigh. So your right arm, so this is my reaching out arm as I came down. The inside arm as close to the knee, but not into the knee, as you can go. So not here. This is easy. Anyone can do this. Lower. Like this. So it's important, that front leg that you're lunging into, it's all about the lunge, because the deeper you get into the lunge, the easier the bind is going to be to grab. You want to make sure when you're lunging, though, that the knee doesn't go past the ankle. We want it in line with, or even a little behind. That's fine. But again, the strap is there if you want to use it to help you get into a full bind or even lift up into birds. So we'll shake that out a little bit. Stretch the shoulders. So birds of paradise, we usually come from extended side angle. I showed you half bind, full bind, birds of paradise. You can always use a block too. So if you're working on birds, coming into it from here, and maybe you just want to rest your toes to the block, just to get a little bit of height, but still lifting. And then maybe you just lift up. Every time you come to your mat, no matter if it's a gentle flow, a line and shine, vinyasa, whatever it is, and we call for that extended side angle and you know you want to work on your binds or birds, go for it. Even if we don't call for it. It's your practice. If you're working towards that goal, take it, whatever you need from that. When you come to class, I would always say grab a block, for sure a block, and a strap, so you can help work on your binds. It's a nice way to help you open up your shoulder flexibility. It's not a crutch. Props aren't crutches. Props are help you to improve your practice, improve your alignment, and help you feel the pose. Like opening up and stacking the shoulders rather than crunching down thinking you got the bind. Like this. So working on binds and birds. So that's the first one. The second one I wanted to go into was flip dog. So again, another one we don't really break down in class because we don't have time really, but we'll call for it. Sometimes we'll say you can flip your dog if it's in your practice. A lot of the times people that are newer to yoga, even if they don't know how to do it, they will see people do it and think, oh, this is what I need to do. Also know that you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Again, it's your practice. So if you're like flip dog and you see people flipping and you're like, no, don't do it. Don't risk hurting yourself. Do what you got to do. So let's get into flip dog. So we usually come to flip dog from three-legged dog, right? So we'll get into our three-legged dog here. So we say, bend your knees, stack your hip. You want to think about kicking that heel all the way over, nice and slow, till it reaches down. And then as you set up for flip dog, your hips and shoulders should be square to the ceiling. A lot of the times we see this. This is not flip dog. We'll see kind of this. Nope. Square to the ceiling. I've seen this before. This is reverse tabletop. This isn't flip dog. So if for you it's easier to get into it from reverse table, go for it. So flip dog. There isn't really a modification for flip dog, but like I said, if you want to come into it from reverse table, lift up that way. The most important part of flip dog, you're lifting with your legs. and making sure your shoulders and your hips are square to the ceiling. Because again, if you're not square, you're doing more harm than good to your body. So, and your opposite arm that isn't planted is reaching up and over. So I'm going to do it on the other side so I can even myself out. So three-legged, bend your knee, slowly kick, kick, kick. Release the foot, nice and easy. Set yourself up. Shoulders and hips square. Top arm reaching up and over. Lifting your gaze behind you. Push through your feet. And then flip back. Plant the hand down. Lift the leg up. And reverse. Flip dog. So again, if it's something that you're not comfortable getting into, don't try unless you're sure. I mean, if it's something you're practicing and you want to practice at home and then bring it into the studio and tell the instructor, hey, I'm working on my flip dog, can you check it out when I'm in it to make sure all is well? Because a lot of the times when we're doing our yoga practice, we don't know if we're doing it right or wrong. A great indicator to help you is take pictures, take video of yourself. I know it's a little awkward, but that's how you'll improve on your practice, and that's how you can kind of see where you're at. When I was learning how to get into handstands, which I'm still practicing, I would video myself to see where my legs were. I thought they were like, oh, like almost straight. No, not at all. But until you look back and see, that's the only way you'll know. You can see your progression in your practice. So I highly recommend video or taking pictures to see what's going on with your body as a way to help yourself. It's a tool. No one needs to see them. It's just for you. They don't need to go on Instagram or Pinterest. It's just for you. But again, if you want to let your instructor know you're working on something, we're more than happy to keep an eye out when we start to get into that to see what's going on. Also, if there is something you're working on and you want to do it in class, let the instructor know, like, hey, I'm working on crow. Do you think that maybe that could be something you could call for today? We're more than happy to call something that we know that our students want or need. So don't be afraid to tell your instructor that as well. Sometimes instructors will say, like, hey, is there anything anybody wants to work on? Any questions, anything like that? So that's your time. It's your hour when you're on your mat, so whatever it is that you need. Let's get into the next one. Wheel. Oh man, wheel. This is one that I would say when I see people trying to get into it, I cringe a lot of the times, because people, again, they look around when we call for bridge or wheel and they think, oh, people are up in wheel, I need to get into that. Don't force yourself into anything. It's never a good time. That's when injuries occur, and that's when, like, you're like, yoga sucks. Like, I didn't enjoy it, I didn't relax. So wheel, we usually we'll say we're going to come into bridge or wheel. So I do want to show you bridge. I want to show you supported bridge, because these are options. These are all options that you can take. Again, even if the instructor doesn't call for it, they're always there for you. So again, we come into wheel from bridge pose. So when we're setting up for a bridge pose, our arms are long to our sides and we walk the heels as close to the fingertips as we can. They don't have to touch. If they don't touch, that's a-okay. Your knees are about hip width, so think about 2 fists. And then for bridge, we just start to press through the heels and lift our hips. Again, shoulders and hips square to the ceiling. Pressing with your feet, squeezing the thighs to activate the quad. So we're not just here, we're lifting and squeezing. And then option to shimmy the shoulders underneath you, interlace the fingers here. We always offer up the option of lifting your heels, coming high to your tippy toes. Lifting as high as you can. So bridge. So coming into supported bridge with the block, I love supported bridge. I will take this any day over bridge or wheel, but the block has 3 settings here. We have the low setting, we have the medium setting, and we have the high setting. If you're going to take supported bridge, I recommend either the low or medium, unless you're feeling really flexible and open in your hips and low back, then maybe bump it up to the top. For me, I'm going to do it on the medium setting. As I lift my hips, I'm going to place the block to my low back, about where your pant tag would be. You want to find that sweet spot. And then this is supported bridge. So I still have my knees hip width, still keeping my head and neck very still. I'm not taking a bind, but maybe I'll take a variation of arms overhead, grabbing for opposite elbows. If you're feeling really good, you can straighten the legs, and then that's just a way to get deeper into the hips and the low back. Just an option. So coming into wheel, so the furthest expression of this pose, coming into wheel or back bend, some cheerleaders might know it as that, or acrobatist, whatever it is. We're gonna come into wheel. So again, we want our feet hip and knees hip width. Again, you're still gonna walk your heels up to your glutes or up to your fingertips. Always make sure if you're coming into wheel, your hands are dry. A lot of the times in these vinyasa classes, our hands get sweaty because it's hot. So make sure you towel off your hands, whatever you need to do. Placing your hands next to your ears. And then we usually say take an inhale, let it out, inhale and lift for wheel. So coming into wheel, hips square to the ceiling, press up. So I'm pressing through my feet and hands. I'm not here on my head. So many people do this. You will hurt yourself. You will hurt your neck. You will hurt your head. That is not wheel. I mean, even just doing it now there for a second did not feel good for me. So if you're coming into wheel, don't push weight onto your head. It's okay if you want to still just bring your hands next to your ears and maybe just lift the hips to feel the lifting sensation. But if you start to come up onto the top of the head, you're putting too much pressure on your neck. It's not good for the neck. It's not good for the intervertebral discs. You do not want to do that. So if you are working on wheel, I would say get your bridge to the point where you feel like your hips are really high. Again, record yourself, take pictures of yourself in wheel, see how the hips are. And if you try coming into wheel and you start to lift and you're like, I just can't get my upper body up, that's when you know you have to stop. But still keep working at it, I promise you. Yoga, we call it a yoga practice for a reason, because we keep practicing. It's not a yoga perfect, it's a yoga practice, so every day is going to be different. If you still work on it, and it's all about consistency as well, so if you keep coming to your mat and you keep practicing getting into these further expressions, like I said, some days they're going to be there, but keep working at it, you're going to get into these poses. Yoga strengthens not only the body, but the mind as well. So it's when your mind is right, your body is right, the strength is there, the inner, the outer, they come together and you can come into these further expressions. But don't get upset if they're not there for you. If you feel like, man, I've been doing yoga for a while. Well, how often are you practicing? And are you really challenging yourself? Are you using the blocks? Are you using the straps to help you just to feel what it's like to be in the further expressions? It's all about letting go of the ego and being comfortable with where you're at. Those were the three main ones I wanted to go over. I do, in the next video, want to go through a couple of arm balances to walk you through using props and things like that, but these were the three main ones that I noticed in a flow class that can be a little challenging for people to get into, so I just wanted to break it down a little bit more. If you have any questions about the three further expressions that I did, again, you can email me, Facebook message me, catch me in the studio, whatever is good for you, and let me know. Other than that, I totally appreciate you guys taking the time out of your days to watch these videos, and I love the feedback, I love the reviews, so thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Namaste.